So the number 25 overall player in the country, number 4 cornerback in the country, 5-star Jabrill Peppers commits to Michigan. Huge news for the Wolverines. I'm Kyle Bogenschutz alongside Sam Webb. First, we've seen Jabrill Peppers for years now. We've seen what he's been able to do on both sides of the ball. Talk about him as a player and the impact he might be able to have in Ann Arbor.
He's the most dynamic athlete, in my opinion, in this class. He could legitimately be a running back. He could probably split out at receiver. Just his versatility is not like that which we've seen in quite some time. I think he very well could be the best player in the country. I think before all is said and done, his ranking will improve dramatically because he's just a dynamic talent. You put him out there on an island, he matches up physically already at over 200 pounds. He can turn and run with any receiver in the country. He could, in a crunch situation, he could cover a slot. He can cover the smaller, shiftier guys. He could blitz. There's so many things he can do. And then he made it clear to me when I spoke to him, I want the ball in my hands as well. So he will wind up touching the ball, be it on punt returns, kick returns. I imagine a la Woodson, you find some ways to get him the ball on offense and not just on special teams. He is that special a talent, that special a recruit, and a guy that, barring anything unforeseen, you knock on wood, don't want to see injuries. You hope that he can balance academics and athletics, can make the adjustment. But provided all those things take place, this is a young man that hits the ground running, makes an impact from day one.
Real recognize real. I think that's a quote that that he said, and that kind of resonated with the fan base, with a lot of different people. Talk about that and his relationship with his coaching staff and how it's progressed over the years.
Yeah, I think it was key to him and clear to him that it wasn't a pitch with Michigan. I think when you are as highly regarded and as heavily recruited as Jabrill is, it starts to sound the same. Everything sounds the same. It gets a little monotonous. What really gets your attention when you're hearing or when you're getting the red carpet treatment from everyone? When you can step into a setting and it doesn't feel contrived. It doesn't feel like it's mapped out. It's just off the cuff. You are getting a genuine feel for the people that you're going to be around. It stands out, and it stood out for him at Michigan. He stepped in. He stepped on campus, stepped into Schembechler Hall, and immediately was taken with the coaches, with the players, not even just on the football side of things. He makes his way over to the basketball office and gets the same sort of feel from the basketball staff, Bakari Alexander and the guys, and Trey Burke. So he got the same feel from them. So you're around all these people, you realize it's not just football, it's not just basketball, it's the people at Michigan, I think, really drew him in. And from that point on, marrying the fact that it's his childhood favorite with the experience that he had not too long ago, I think it really made it clear to him that Michigan was the place that he needed to be.
You already talked about maybe impacting the game on the offensive side of things, special teams, but there were a lot of defensive backs brought in last year's class, 6 in total. There's going to be a couple in this class. Talk about how he'll fit in, and does he have a chance to be a starter from day one?
Yes, he has a chance. His talent is that supreme. Now, competition, he's not going to be given anything. And now, to be clear, that's one of the things he pointed out. He liked the fact that Michigan told him, look, we have guys. We just recruited a bunch of guys. We have our All-Americans. You aren't guaranteed a starting spot. So he likes that. He likes the fact that he's stepping into a situation where nothing is promised. The only thing that's promised is an opportunity. But again, you're talking about a guy that physically is a senior in college already. He can come in, provided he can grasp the concepts defensively, the scheme defensively. This is a guy that sees the field unquestionably from day one and has a chance to start. One thing we have learned about Brady Hoke and Greg Madison, and both of those guys were here. They were here in the 90s when Charles Woodson steps out on the field in practice, gets in a tussle with Amani Toomer, winds up being a starter his freshman season. If you are the best player and you're a freshman, you're on the field. It doesn't matter what your class standing is. This young man has a chance to be that dynamic. Now, I won't make a proclamation right now and say that he will. You got some talented players here on campus, but rest assured, you are getting a supreme athlete and a guy that has the swagger and the mentality to come in and not be intimidated by the magnitude of the moment. It won't be an issue for him practicing, right beside Schembechler Hall, going over to the big house, seeing guys that have been around for a few years. Those aren't the kind of things that are going to impact this guy. Only thing that would slow him down is if for some reason he didn't make the adjustment as seamlessly as I think he will. But barring that, barring injury, this young man will be in the thick of competition to be a starter.
A little bit smaller class in the 2014 for Michigan, but there's a lot of quality in this class, a lot of nationally rated recruits, a lot of highly coveted recruits. How does this impact a Deshaun Hand, a Malik McDowell, some of those big-time players that are still left on the board?
Right, and to be clear about the whole starter thing, look, you're going to have Blake Countess back, you're going to have Ray Taylor back. So the deck is stacked against him as far as being a starter right away. But it's possible. It's possible with an athlete like this. But he, without question, I'm telling you, people have seen the film. You saw him, the first Go Blue Wolverine eyes placed on him, you and Josh Newkirk. Just take us back to that when you guys saw him as a sophomore in New York.
The first time you flew us anywhere. We were going to see Kyle Kalis. We were going to see Muhammad, a defensive end, a talented junior. Really wanted to focus on that one-on-one matchup, and we just kept noticing this kid. He was a running back. He was playing DB, swatting passes, on the outside, and we just kept seeing his number pop up, kept hearing his name over the the PA at this game, and I mean, you just saw the talent, and you saw that he was as physically gifted as anyone on that field. Like you said, he's a senior in college physically right now, and as a sophomore, he's probably like a senior in high school. So somebody who's been around, for quite a while. But getting back to, to kind of wrap everything up as far as Michigan finishing out this class, how can he impact the rest of this class? Because he seems like a pretty polarizing, personality.
Yeah, I don't know about polarizing. I think he's a magnetic personality. I think he's the type of personality that pulls guys in. And, it was interesting to talk to Deshaun Hand about it because initially Deshaun was like, man, he did an interview and they said, who's the top player in the country? And he said, oh, some guy named Deshaun. And Deshaun kind of took it as a slight, but Jabrill got on Twitter, reached out to him and said, look, I didn't mean anything by it, but the way I am is that I feel like you gotta say you're the best, you gotta act like you're the best. Anything else is unacceptable. And Deshaun said, I can appreciate that. He said they established a little bit of a vibe after that. I really think, based on talking to a lot of the guys who have talked to Jabrill, and he had been giving inklings, obviously, of what he was going to do well in advance of the announcement. I think Deshaun Hand will be priority number one, and Deshaun is not the type to really be influenced too much by the whole. Not even just coaches are having a hard time reaching Deshaun Hand, let alone recruits. But this is a unique circumstance. Jabrill Peppers is a unique guy. I think he's a guy that could actually connect with Jabrill a little bit on that. With Deshaun a little bit on that level. So we'll see. But they make no mistake, he will be a recruiter. Heck, he's already recruiting for Michigan. Mika Fitzpatrick, who we just put a story up on today, said, "Hey, I'm at a track meet, and Jabrill Peppers is giving an endorsement to Michigan." So it is going to be the case that he is going to try to get other top guys around him and make this class, as small as it might be, relatively speaking, try to make it per capita the best class in the country.
So Michigan gets a commitment from Jabrill Peppers over Penn State, LSU, also Stanford mixed in there. Great job by Brian Doan covering this whole thing throughout. Obviously, Sam Webb, plenty more coverage on Jabrill Peppers' commitment to Michigan coming up on GoBlueWolverine.com.